I think we're really quick to say we study consumers as though we are not one, which is always very interesting to me. And for that reason is basically why Consumer Corner was born, right? So I do quite a bit in the area of consumer demand, thinking about what people buy and why. But fundamentally, I'm coming at it from a very on-farm, farm gate production sort of question. And at the core, we know that the farm must make a decision if we're going to continue production. How do we inform those decisions if we don't have a good grasp on what the market wants, what consumers will demand, et cetera? So regardless of where you are in the agribusiness supply chain, we have to have a product that eventually makes its way into the hands of consumers. We tend all along that supply chain to blame things on quote unquote the consumer, as though it's some like mystical creature that's out there and as though we aren't one. So we're going to start out. Just so we're clear, take a little look in the mirror. Each one of us is the fickle, mind-changing, uncertain consumer that is so troubling to us on the production side. But when we're the consumer, we pretty much all act like that, right? So we want what we want when we want it. And we all have hypocritical and or inconsistent preferences. And somehow when it's the production cycle for us, those are very concerning. But when we're consumers, we want what we want. So we do have three kind of, I'll loosely call these universal truths that we use in Consumer Corner in terms of framing this. And so we tend to state these things, and then I'm going to combat them immediately. So we complain the consumer doesn't know what they want. And the answer is that's true, because most of us have no idea what we want, especially in the future. You think you know what you want now, but you're completely fine with changing your mind as a consumer going forward. That's also perfectly fine when we're the consumer and not when we're the producer. It's hypocritical, yes, right? And that's where it ends. That's how we all behave. We're all producing something and consuming something else. And the answer is often we don't know what we want. Number two, the statement that gets made is often that the consumer doesn't understand our business. Right? So we hear this from all different sectors of ag all the time. And that's true. And they won't, because it's not their business, it's your business. Right? So we tend to say, but people don't understand. And the answer is they don't, and they might not, right? But people still get to consume and make purchase decisions. So the response to that tends to be that the consumer needs to be educated, right? That we must educate the consumer, we must share with them. And I'll posit to you, and you can disagree. Pretty much nobody wants to be forcibly educated, right? So nobody wants to be convinced of something that they didn't ask for. And when it's the industry itself that's forcibly educating, especially if you're also selling the product, most of the time that's unpalatable. We'll call that at best, or it's offensive, which is probably more likely. Right? We're using this, you don't understand me, as a reason to not engage. And I'm not sure that's the right path forward. And then finally, number three, which I think is probably the most dangerous, is that the consumer just doesn't know that they need this, but they do. Right? So this happens in most production systems. We're very proud of the product that we produce. And so therefore we know you need it. You just don't know you need it yet. Right? And that could be true. It's true at Apple. I don't necessarily know, I can't come up with other good examples where that's true. And so I have on here, we can certainly work to understand consumer demand, right? So those of us doing research in this space are looking to understand consumer demand. But understanding demand and meeting that demand is different than telling someone what they need.